Am I audible? Can you guys hear me?
Yes, I can hear you. Hi.
I cannot hear you. Oh God. Wait. Am I audible?
I can hear you.
Okay, great. Amazing. So let's begin today's session. Back and neck straight. Gently close the eyes and start observing your breath. Just watch the natural flow of your breath. As you inhale and as you exhale, be in your posture, be aligned. And when you feel ready, begin to deepen your breath. Body is relaxed, mind is relaxed. And prepare yourselves for chanting Om 3 times, followed by 3 Shantis. Exhale completely and inhale for Om. Shanti, Shanti, Shanti. Just feel the vibrations. Join both the palms together in front of the chest and rub both the palms together. Rub both the hands and place them on the eyes. And slowly, while blinking and looking at your palms, open up the eyes, come back. And namaste to everyone. Am I audible? Because there's some network issue, so I'm like not turning on the video because of that reason. But am I audible?
Yep, yes, you're audible.
I think someone cannot hear me. Wait. Uh, all right. I cannot hear you either. Uh, what can we do about this?
Hello?
Now I can hear you. Can you hear me?
Ja jego nie słyszę. Wiesz, on coś niby mówi tu.
Can you hear me?
Hello? I'm here.
Yeah, I know.
Jest wyciszony głośnik.
Hello?
Hello.
Oh, okay, great.
Am I audible?
Yes, yes, I can hear you, but I cannot see you.
Yeah. My video is turned off for now.
Okay.
Yeah. Okay, so if you can hear me, I'll begin the class then.
Mm-hmm.
Right. So this is your yoga philosophy class, and today we are beginning with a new topic, right? And the name of the topic is triguna. 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 These are the three cosmic qualities. Right, and when I was explaining food also, I mentioned these three qualities. And I said we are going to have a separate class, right, where we discuss about these three qualities. So three gunas are the, three cosmic qualities, the qualities that are present in everything. Like, every thing that is created is subject to the influence of these three qualities. And, every thought, action, event that happens in your life is will fall under one of these three categories, right? And just like Vat, Pitta, and Kaph, as you would be covering in your Ayurveda classes, these three qualities also, one is more dominant sometimes for a particular person if seen over a period of time. Like you will have the tendency to act like one of these qualities more than the other two, or maybe you will be a combination of two and one will be less in you, right? So we work towards moving towards the most ideal of these three, and eventually the goal is to transcend, to move beyond the influence of these three. So these three qualities, they dominate at different times during the day also. And then overall also, as I said, as I told you, that your own nature, your own way of dealing with things, so there would be one or two, a mixture of two qualities that you will see that is more dominant for you than the third one, right? So these three qualities have been discussed in the 14th chapter of Bhagavad Gita. So this text 𝐵HAGAVA. So in the 14th chapter, Lord Krishna discusses these qualities, these three qualities that we have, and he describes them like elaborately so that it's easier for us to understand depending on how we are acting, how we are conducting ourselves. We can understand which quality is dominating. And the best part is, once you recognize which quality is dominating for you, you can actually move towards a more favorable quality, right? So suppose at some point of time you are not aware of what is happening, so you wouldn't know which direction to go, and your mind will be completely absorbed in trying to understand what is happening right now with you to you, right? But suppose you know what is happening, so if you gain that understanding that it is something that is not favorable for you, you will try to change that thing, right? So with the study of the three gunas, this is what happens when you get to know about your personality, when you get to know about which quality represents which type of action reaction within you, so you can move towards a more favorable one, right? So in the 14th chapter itself, Krishna ji says to Arjun that transcending all three, a yogi transcends all three. So right now we are too much under the influence of these three qualities. So suppose one begins to dominate during a particular time in the day, right? So when that dominates, we will also, everything that we do is also changed according to that. Sometimes, we wake up in a very good mood and then something happens and you totally like, there is a point of time where there is too much reaction in the mind and you are just, uh, being pulled down by the mind, too much reaction in the mind going on, right? So it also depends, like, and sometimes if something happens to you, you just do not multiply on that thought process. So this is how the qualities have an impact on us, and because of this impact on us, right, we are not free from it. Basically, whenever something will dominate, we are going to completely go into how that quality is, right? But a yogi will transcend all three, will move beyond the influence of all three of these qualities. And Krishna ji describes in depth that person, the qualities of that person. So that is not like the topic of discussion today, but these understanding these three qualities is the main thing that we have to focus on today. So the first one is sattva. SATTVA, sattva quality. So sattva quality, as mentioned in the Bhagavad Gita, is the highest of all three, right? And because it is the highest of all three, now you have to aim towards getting like in alignment with this quality. So during your day, whenever you feel very irritated, agitated, try to, work on moving your state of mind, your state of being towards sattva quality. And this can start with very few changes. So one of them is the color. So the color that is associated with sattva quality is white. So you must have seen like a lot of times that spiritual people, mostly people who are very spiritual, they mostly wear white, or they have a lot of white in their wardrobe, or around them there is a lot of white, right? And this is solely because white is associated with the sattva quality, right? And at any point of time, if you see something white, like like even if you think of it, when you see something white or someone in white, there is a totally different image that comes in your mind, right? There is some like uh, soothing feeling, some level of calmness and peace that you yourself associate with white. And especially if you go in the um, Western culture, you will see like the mention of angels, and when you think of angels, they are wearing white. So white is considered to be a very pure, it's associated with purity. So sattva is, directly connected to the color white. And hence, if you wear white, if things around you are white, and now you are aware that they reinforce a sattvic nature. So when you know this thing, and when you see that color, it will be a constant reminder for you to come into the sattvic quality, no matter what state of mind you are in. So right now also you would have a lot of white around you, but you weren't aware of, its, I would say, power or the ability to change your state of being. But now that you do, every time you see white, you can actually, work towards this thing where when you see white, you are totally like reminded every time that you are working towards sattvic quality. So let's see the traits of sattvic quality a little bit. Why, why should we move towards it? So when you see the characteristics that I list down, you will see that, yes, you want to be like that, right? All of us want to be peaceful, right? So, a quiet mind is associated with sattvic quality, right? Then a peaceful, calm mind. Then a very pure, like I said, pure. White is considered to be very pure. Something very pure, something very loving and caring. Something that is associated with a lot of wisdom, right? And on a bodily level, you will see that a person who has, sattvic quality dominating, that person is going to, uh, have a very healthy body. Their body is going to be free from toxins and disease. So people who are quite healthy, right, and very radiant also. So it doesn't only mean that you are, gymming and you are fit. That health radiates from within, right? So if you have met someone who has this, glow on their face, and their body is quite healthy, right? So that is a person whose sattvic quality is really dominating, right? It's associated with a lot of illumination, and positive thinking, harmony. And a person who is sattvic is by default bound to be in spirituality, right? So the nature is very, very spiritual. There is so much curiosity. There is so much, willingness to move towards the spiritual path, and very easily absorbing the spiritual teachings and all of these things. So they're able to imbibe this thing very quickly and work on it. So you will meet certain people. Now that you're in yoga, you will meet a lot of people who have been practicing for years and years, so they are working on developing their sattvic quality, right? So that is the first aim that we have, to move towards sattvic. Okay, so next quality is rajas. RAJAS, rajas. Uh, rajas is, second one it comes, right? So it's the way towards spirituality, right? But again, you have to move towards sattva. So it's also like not desirable to have like too much of rajas. So again and again, because Rajasic people, they have a lot of energy, so what they can do is they can channel it towards more spiritual things. So like I said, told you the example, like just I said that you will meet a lot of people who are working for years, so they're trying to you know channel their activeness towards sattvic nature. So they could have done anything with that energy, right? So every day we wake up, we have a particular amount of energy, so we choose what we have to do with it, right? So same thing, if you are very Rajasic in nature, so you will be very passionate, right? And this passion, passion will be with a lot of like attachment, right? And there is a lot of desire also. So somebody who is Rajasic will not only have passion, but there is intense attachment because of that passion, and there are a lot of desires also. So that the Rajasic person is passionate about their desires, about working towards their desires, and like too much, there is too much activity over there. And because of this attachment, there is a lot of suffering and sorrow that is caused to them. So suppose they are passionate towards something, they're working towards it, and if they don't end up achieving it, so they will get very disheartened, right? And it causes them so much suffering because of their level of attachment, you know to their work, to their to achieving their goals. They put in so much effort, and there is so much passion over there. And the mind is generally very restless, so you would have seen a lot of people like moving their feet, their hands, because mind gets restless, so we tend to move the body. So people, I'm not saying overall this is their Rajasic, they are going to be of Rajasic nature. So during the day also Rajas dominate. So sometimes even if you do not Rajas is not very active for you, like maybe some other gun is active for you, but you might find yourself moving your feet sometimes during the day. That's because at that point of time Rajas comes and dominates. So it's not necessary that depending on this, like you can completely say that a person is Rajasic, right? But general trait I'm telling you, during the day when your mind is very very active, right? A lot of thoughts are coming in, moving. There is a lot of restless activity. Sometimes we are just like, let me just sit and take a few breaths, right? Everything is too overwhelming. So at that point of time, Rajasic quality is very very dominant. it's a very dynamic kind of movement. It allows a lot of movement. So people who are into a lot of physical activity will see you know rajas is more dominant for them. And there is a lot of passion, as I said, and there is a lot of ego. So that is the the attachment and the ego is the problem over here. Whenever you think of somebody who is Rajasic, they're going to be very um, they'll just look out for themselves, or themselves and people who are close to them, right? And they have a very big ego. So if uh, deal with someone who is Rajasic, they're going to get offended, right? And they're going to take it on their ego, and forgiveness comes very difficult. Like it's very hard for them to forgive also because of this reason, because their ego gets hurt. So they won't show, but they're going to constantly be in that state of mind where they um uh, holding grudges. They resent a lot because of this reason. So generally the color red is associated with rajas, right? But according to certain, like there are certain colors that are associated. One is only red, and according to some beliefs, it's all the other colors except black and white, right? So take it as it resonates for you, right? If you feel that red gets you into that aggression, that passion, then it's red for you. Maybe other colors won't trigger you that much. But generally, all the other colors except white and black are said to fall in the category of rajas only. Right. So any doubts so far in any of this? Then I'll move ahead. Okay, great. Okay. I hope I'm audible to everyone. Yeah.
For
Yeah.
Sattva quality people, do they have like desires and passion, or are they lacking in all of them?
Sorry.
A Sattva characteristic,
Mhm.
do they have passion and desires, or are they like just into spirituality, leaving the family?
Oh, no. Spirituality has nothing to do with leaving the family, right? So whenever we talk of yoga also, in these classes also, I've been very consistently telling you that, it is a way of living rather than, anything else. Even in your philosophy classes, whatever you understand, if you are able to implement in your life, then it is like, and I give you certain tasks also sometimes, at the end of the class, that do this thing or do that thing, right? So it's implementation, more about implementation. Sattvic person is not passionate, Sattvic person is compassionate. So there is a very fine line between these two. Passion will always bring attachment with it, and hence will become a cause of suffering. But somebody who is compassionate, right? So that person, is very loving, very giving. That kind of nature is, a sattvic nature, where the person isn't concerned about who is getting that love or who is getting that compassion. Everybody is equivalent for them. Whoever wants to take that love, they can take that love, their kindness. They won't differentiate between somebody who they love, and they are taking their help, and somebody who is a stranger to them. You will not see difference in their behavior depending on who they are dealing with. So that is more of sattvic nature. Of course, we are a mixture of all three of them. So for now, I don't think you'll be able to find any example in day-to-day life apart from
Sorry, can't hear.
Okay, can you hear me?
Yes.
Okay. So I was saying this only that, to only see the sattvic quality in someone is not enough. Sattvic quality, it's quite rare, right? Yogis, because for them it's very dominant. Do certain acts of service. It doesn't have to do anything with our attachment of return, right? Some days we are just like, we just help someone, we don't know why, right? So that is when the sattva quality ends up dominating you, right?
Okay.
Yeah. So we are a mixture of all of these three things. So don't worry. Uh, when you are, into like spiritual pursuits a lot, that is when you work on developing it more and more. So it becomes, at one point, it becomes the only dominant quality within you. But it's also again a very hard stage to achieve. So we can start from very basic things. And I will tell you how to move out of Rajas and Tamas also, right? So let's come to Tamas, tamasic quality. This is again lowest of all. So just a second, I'll write it down. TAMAS. This is the lowest of all three of them. And if you are in Tamas, then start working towards it so that at least you reach the point of Rajas, right? And then when you reach Rajas, you will be able to direct it towards Sattva, right? So this state mostly arises due to ignorance. So you will see a lot of people when you talk about all of these things, they're just like, you know what, there is only the material world and we just have to achieve this thing, and we have to get a house, we have to get this car, then we have to do this. But spirituality is nowhere seen in their goals, right? So they do not believe that, anything that they cannot see, they do not believe in that thing, right? So it arises due to ignorance. So mind is in deep ignorance at that point of time. So they are unable to see, right? So there is, like, such people do not believe in spirituality. They totally, they are totally non-believers in this thing, and they are just like, there's nothing like spirituality, right? So this nature, like, you know is full of lethargy. So you will find that Tamasic people are quite lethargic. They are very lazy, right? They have a tendency, right? They are, their mind is totally in negative thinking. So negative, they're really stuck in this negative else, like there is nothing else, right? So skeptics, people who are very skeptical of things. And there is a lot of apathy also because of this thing, because there is no recognition of, you know uh, there's so much ignorance that they do not, empathize. So they become very selfish.
Sorry, can't hear.
Right. Okay. Yeah. So I was saying because the mind is so like it's considered to be connected with impurity. Impurity, why? Because the mind is full of negative thought. So we also have some days where we are very negative. So tamas, is mostly dominating those days overall. Right. And let's like see how we can move out of it, because it happens for all of us. Sometimes we are very dull, we feel very very dull, and there is nothing you can do to help it. Like sometimes, when you are in tamasic nature, even if you get up and do something, it doesn't make you feel quite good, right? So you end up like going back and you know being in your comfort zone, lazing around again, right? So it's very necessary to understand the right way to tackle tamas also, because see, sleep is important, right? So tamas is going to dominate you. So during the night time, it is because of the dominance of tamas that you are able to fall asleep, right? So it is important, like it does support some function of the body, right? But during the day, when it mostly dominates your mind, that is when you need to break out of it. So the best way to work on tamas quality is to go into the practice of cleansing first thing. So shatkarma, right? So shatkarma is again a very important practice when you want to deal with tamas. So wake up in the morning, do jalneti, do whatever other shatkarmas you have learned. So it is going to keep the body more active during the day. And practice asanas in the morning itself. Like you will have to push yourself a little bit, but you will be able to do it. So the practice of the asanas will get the body in such a stage where there is a lot of catharsis in the body, right? And when there is energy in the body, then you can channel it. So then you reach a little bit of rajas state. You can also work on this by avoiding tamasic food. It's not always that our state of mind is such we eat something and our state of mind becomes this way. So avoid junk food, avoid packed foods, all the preservatives, all of these things, and try to switch to more natural, more organic uh, food items, which will help you, in fact. So you won't see result in 1 to 1 days or 1 week, 2 weeks. You have to give it some time. When you switch your food, you will see there is some difference that you already start seeing. But as you become more consistent in this thing, you will see much more difference in your own self, right? So go for more sattvic food, eat fruits, juices, go for boiled vegetables, go for all the sattvic food that you can get your hands on, right? So what about rajas? Now you do not have to work towards building some energy in the body. There is already a lot of energy. So first thing is begin to avoid rajasic food, right? So if you add too much spices in your food, like whenever you cook, so try to reduce the spices at least at first. Even if you cannot go to directly sattvic food, you can at least work on reducing the spices, right? So any food that causes too much heat and this kind of thing in the body. So depending on your temperature also, eat the foods which are, again, go for seasonal foods. Like I said, when you see sattvic thing, you see that uh, mostly the food, sattvic food is seasonal only. So it will change according to the season, to where you live for. see local food, right? Wherever you live, there is something that is that region for local food that is grown over there only, right? And seva or service is a very big part of somebody who has rajas. Yes, that is especially to spiritual places, you will see a very drastic change. So somebody who has very high rajas, they can go ahead and serve anywhere, but it would be very good if they can go to any spiritual thing that they believe in and offer their services over there, right? So it will help them to detach. It will help them to uh, put their ego a little bit down, right? And even introspection really helps them. So if you feel that your rajas quality tends to dominate more than other qualities, so you can go ahead, make a diary, or invent some suitable way for yourself for you to reflect, right? Because when you reflect, that is when you are able to see your mistakes. So Rajasic people find it very hard to see their own mistakes because ego is very high, right? So when they introspect, they get to see that, okay, I went wrong over here, or I did this thing wrong. So they can work on it. Another very beautiful concept of Ishwar Pranidhan or surrender to God. So I will write these down when I specifically teach yamas and niyamas to you. So don't worry, you're not missing out on anything, right? So when you surrender to God, you will see a lot of people who have faith in their God and hence end up surrendering their life, their actions, everything to God. So if somebody who is very Rajasic in nature can develop this sense of surrender towards anything, not necessary that it is some particular God only, but be very careful when you are surrendering yourself to someone, because be very mindful when you choose your God, right? Because sometimes what happens is if you end up surrendering to the wrong thing, it might backfire. So that is why I said God, right? Because God typically has this quality of uh, what can I say, one thing is God has very adorable qualities, so you work on imbibing those, right? So be very careful whenever you're thinking of surrender. That is why it's very important to surrender. Like when we talk of bhakti yoga also, there is some God, and the God has some qualities that you really admire, so you surrender yourself to that God, right? So this thing will help you to work on your Rajasic nature. Also, because there is so much movement, there is so much activity, you can actually channel it towards more spiritual things. So suppose your mind is very active and you like reading, so rather than reading something that is fictional, you can go ahead and read something that is more of a spiritual nature. So it will help you, because whenever you read something that is of a spiritual nature, you will see that you greatly work on the ego, you greatly work on the realities of life, the universal truths. So all of these things help to calm down the mind, to bring the mind to a more stable state. So suppose if you read fiction, there is a lot of fighting, there is a lot of depending on what kind of book you have picked up, there is some action, something going on, so it keeps the mind engaged in those activities. So why not engage the mind in more spiritual activities, right? So going ahead and reading spiritual scriptures or anything which interests you in yoga, you can go ahead and read that thing. So it's going to aid you a lot, right? That is how you can work on the rajas nature and move towards sattva. So first goal for you right now is a time when sattva becomes very dominant in your personality, right? That is quite important. So right now your aim, I have told you like a lot of things that you can do. So today you can go, you can assess what category you fall in, right? And see how you can, what is the best way for you to work on those things, right? And in the morning, sattva is very dominant for us. That is why they say, go for all the spiritual practices in the morning, because it's a time when you can just try this on your own. So wake up at 4 someday. When you wake up at 4, the state of your mind will be so calm already that your meditation is going to, or any practice that you do, it's going to go ahead, right? It's going to be pushed forward. That is why they say that, take out some time for yourself in the morning, because morning meaning, anytime between 4 to 8 a.m. If you take out some time for yourself during these hours, you will see that you can actually make progress in the things that you're pursuing at that point of time. It's because of the dominance of the sattva nature at that point of time. Then we move towards more of rajas nature, where we go to work, we earn our day-to-day living. So it's quite important, right? So if we are not active during that time, we won't be able to earn a livelihood, right? So then rajas comes and dominates. Then again there is a switch between, little bit tamas comes in, then again rajas switches back. Then during sunset again sattva begins to dominate, right? So in the evening time is also, most spiritual practices you will see, they say either during sunrise or sunset. So why sunset? Again sattva begins to dominate at that point of time. So it's quite necessary for you to uh, work on that thing. You can again go for spiritual practices during somewhere around the sunset time. And then as night comes, tamas begins to dominate and heavily dominate, so that we can fall asleep and again wake up the next day. And this is how they are distributed during the day, like they dominate at different timings, right? So any doubts related to any of this? Any doubts?
When a person experience depression, are they going through a tamas quality?
Are you asking that if a person goes into depression, do they go into tamas quality?
Yeah, is it because the tamas quality is dominant? Sorry, can't hear.
Yes. At that point of time, a lot of dullness in the mind, they're not able to break that state of mind. Can you hear me now?
Yes.
Am I audible?
Yes.
Okay, I was saying yes, during the time of depression, they find it very hard to break out of uh, that particular mindset or that particular state of mind that they are in. So, it becomes quite heavy on them, right? So that is the time when they need to get up. That is why they say, for depression patients, especially, go out, get up, become more active. So why? Because tamas tends to dominate a lot during that time.
Okay.
Yeah.
So
All right.
can you
Yeah.
go, from tamas quality, can you go straight into the spirituality, or you need to go through the rajas before going into the sattvic quality?
See, this I will answer on my general understanding. So it's quite hard to go directly to sattva quality. Why? Because right now there's so much ignorance, right? And a rajas person at least, tends to have a lot of activity, but at least has that bent, might end up having that bent because of something that happened in life. So from tamas to sattva, I think it would be a very like extreme push, right? So it's like other side of the same thing. So generally when the transition period is happening, that is when rajas becomes more dominant, and then they fall into, then they direct that energy towards sattva. So that is my basic understanding of this thing, that it is quite hard to directly go into sattva. It is possible, I'm not denying the possibility, but still it is quite hard in comparison to that thing, transitioning from rajas then to sattva.
Okay.
So let's begin. Let's end the session, right? Because you have your therapy class. Yeah. So I'll just end with Om Shanti. So Om Shanti to everybody. I will see all of you for your pranayam class at 3 today, right? And bye-bye.
Bye. Thank you.
Bye-bye.